Hi, I'm Gary, and I just released my first game on Steam. And I thought it could be quite an interesting thing to just go over what brought me here and how the development went. So, yeah, I, uh, I mean, it's not a new story, I guess, but I have tried to make games, for not that long. I guess it's not a very original story, but I have wanted to make games for a while since I was a kid, I guess. But usually I don't approach things very directly. So I like to understand how things work and in a very detailed manner. Meaning I try to lay out what kind of skills I would need to make a game on my own. And so I try to understand how to make music, how to produce it, mainly on computers. And that took me about 6 years, I guess. And I've only been publishing what I did for like 3 years now. Kind of a similar story for modeling, texturing, animating in 3D, in that I have looked at it and tried to get into it for a while, but I've been only publishing work for 3-4 years as well. And so I kind of just very, very slowly got into making things, but yeah, I kind of lost track because making music and animating is very interesting. So I just got into that. And last year, I kind of wanted to try and make games again, and I felt like I did have the skills to make that into a reality, possibly. And so I went into quite a few game jams, like 2 on site, like with real people, and 3 online. I would absolutely advise you to try the on-site one because it's a very different atmosphere, and I don't know, it really went so much better when you have actual people to talk to. When you're doing it online, if you don't have friends to do it with, it's very hard to communicate with people that are from different areas of the world, and just working together didn't really work much for me. But yeah, that's the advice I would give. And by doing a few game jams, I saw that, well, I ain't the best at making games, but I can be part of a team. And so I tried to kind of find other people to work with. But if you don't have that many people to help you out, it's, I just figured I'd have to learn on my own. And it's not new. Like, I know programming from my studies a little bit, and I have tried to get into Unreal several times on several different occasions for 2D or 3D, but thing is, I don't know, I can learn Blender, I can learn Ableton, but weirdly enough, Unreal is just way too much for me. I didn't really feel that compelled to get into it and try out ideas. It didn't feel like a very iterative process, and I do like doing it like this. So yeah, December of last year, I just decided, well, let's try out Godot. Like, I heard a lot about it, and so I did, and just did the tutorials on the documentations, tried a few things, and yeah, I decided, well, I'm gonna make a game myself. try to keep the scope as little as possible. Try to have a very simple mechanic, and still, I think I want to make 3D games because that's where my skills, like artistic, artistic skills come in. And well, I don't think it was a bad decision, but to my understanding and my very limited experience, it does make it so that it's way more complicated. Yeah. So yeah, I tried Godot with 3D, and even though the mechanic that I had in mind was really just moving around in a 3D world, which is very well documented, and just clicking on objects or taking them and making them interact, like the very fact that I try to have physics, like to use physics, actually complicated things a lot. And so I kind of, for optimization, I guess, but just cut off a few of the things that I tried to do because it didn't run even on a okay computer. So yeah, I guess I thought I had a very well-designed mechanic in mind, but I still had to simplify that, and I still had to try to work at it for about 6 months, just figuring out the mechanic itself. I got quite fast, I think. The implementation, I mean. But I made a fatal mistake in that I just had the gameplay in mind, because part of my frustration for some game jams that did not go well is that the discussions were aimed mostly at the story, mood, lore, atmosphere. And then when it was time to get into the gameplay, like, just nothing was figured out. So I thought of a very simple gameplay at first, but I realized when I had that, like, I did not have any personality, like any identity for my game. And so I just went with the silly French stereotypes, just things I do know personally, I guess. And so and I thought of a protagonist, but I thought a frog wouldn't be that, a cartoony frog wouldn't be that common in my mind. But there are a lot of frog games coming out, like right now, or being developed by indie developers. So well, too bad, I guess. But I guess I just wanted to make a game and figure out how to publish it on Steam, which there are a lot of resources, like for Godot, for Steam, for developing games. But I do feel like it's either very hobbyist, the game dev space, or it's very professionalized, and not that much small creators in a way. I don't mean like there are a lot of small people making videos and publishing games which are bigger than me or smaller than me. That doesn't matter. But it's more about game dev on this space, like on this platform, does seem to mostly be either you speak about it to a broader audience, you make tutorials, or you kind of have a post-mortem of how your game went. I can't do a post-mortem, like nobody will buy my game, because the point was just to make it and publish it, which is a mistake as a business endeavor. But I have looked at a lot of resources, and I do feel like the next time can try a few things to make a little bit of revenue out of my second game. Um, I'm not that good at the engine that I'm using, so it's not like I can give anybody lessons. So I don't know. I just felt maybe it would be interesting to have a little bit of an insight, because I do see a lot of people as well, like making games very quickly and saying, "Oh, you can just do that." But I just want to share the experience that even though you can have a game quickly, doesn't mean that you're gonna have a product very quickly. And so, yeah, I just want to have a little bit of nuance that maybe, I don't know, half of the time you'll spend on your game, and half of the time, even like I'm speaking without any amount of marketing, like just making sure it works on the platform you want to sell. And that's just speaking as someone who develops on PC, who posts its game on PC, and just I do not do any porting. So if you do porting on consoles yourself, you're gonna have a lot of time, and even if you work with someone else, it is a significant amount. So yeah, it does feel like slowly the sphere. It's something that I've seen as well people talk about in the entrepreneur space, in that people sell a livelihood, but the livelihood that they sell is the product, and that most of the money they do is selling that livelihood. And so just I'm seeing this more and more in game dev, in that a lot of the people you see might not actually make money selling games. They do make money making them, but the kind of product that they actually sell is not the game itself. It's more lessons, it's more business insights. It's, yeah, just try to always look at who gives you advices. And so, for example, you get me, and so you should not listen to what I say, because obviously for the business side, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. But if you look at someone very, like, who has a lot of people following them, I would still try to look into who they are. And some of the channels that I see, that they don't even have names, or they don't even have games that they say that they're associated with. And so if you don't know the history of someone that's involved in the sphere, it's a bit harder to, yeah, I don't know, take their advice seriously, I would say. And even though, again, I'm nobody to say that, but yeah, just look at who's giving you advice is my point, and do whatever you will with this. But yeah. So yeah, sorry for the little bit of a lot of side note, but to come back to the game, I kind of had the idea looking at 2020. I was following like YouTubers making videos about silly speedruns, and so I just thought that's a simple idea if I would to make one, and that everything is a speedrun in a way, like just a very dumb idea, and theoretically easy to make, which it was. It just took me time, I guess. And also that the very fact that it would be a speedrun would kind of allow for jank or like bugs, which hopefully there's none left, but probably there is a lot. And theoretically, that's how the game is, and it's supposed to be taken advantage of in a way. But yeah, I'm not sure my vision, even though I thought it was quite precise, did translate thoroughly, because again, when you have an idea and when you execute it, it's two different things. So Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's gonna end up being another motivational video for those who need it, in that I took my time learning it. I made something simple, but I still think it's worth sharing. That's what I've learned in doing music mostly, in that if you wait for the perfect product to actually show people and share around, it's it's never gonna be there, because you're gonna change, you're gonna learn, and so your standards are gonna evolve with you. So just my rule is always to make something okay, which music I think is very easy, because I just began by making atmospheric stuff and just notes with a lot of reverb, and that's technically music, so it doesn't make your ears bleed if you listen to it. That's a good point in my opinion. And so yeah, I just like, creation is technical. Like, I learned the software, I learned the tool, and so same for Blender, just making very abstract, like random modifier shader things. Just yeah, just doing things, and slowly by slowly understanding how to make things a little bit better and in a way that I actually want. And so yeah, for this game it's horribly coded. Like, Godot has a specific thing with scenes that allows you theoretically to just make everything in different parts, different objects, and then instantiate them. And so it does help you gain a lot of time, because for me, for example, every single object could just be like a word and a texture and a mesh as well. And the thing is, I actually just put everything in a single scene, and so the whole tree is the game, which you should not do, but it works. So I'm not gonna complicate things and spend time cleaning things up. For debugging, I guess it takes a little bit more time, but the scope being very little, I can get away with this because I'm not making a complicated game. I'm not making a very big one, so it's fine. So yeah, also if you're gonna release it on Steam specifically, which I intend to probably make at least 1 or 2 games more this year that I'm gonna release on Steam, possibly way tinier, I hope. Maybe not. And an advice that you might have heard if you want to get into it, but like, yeah, do make your Steam account and page way ahead of time. Like, I did not understand that the store and the game release itself was not connected. For example, the trailer, you don't need it if you just need your page up, which I did not get, even though it is detailed. But so yeah, just I think it's a good thing to just do a very little game, put it on Steam. It costs you $100. That's the investment, but I think it's worth it. And so yeah, just take your time, but maybe if you just get into it, don't take too much of it, because I think to know how to do something, you have to do it. And so for me, again, like, it helps to finish projects in it's something that's not only in game dev. Like, I see a lot of musicians having like unfinished tracks and stuff like this, and something that helped me is just, okay, I'm partly satisfied with this, I'm just gonna end it here and make it okay to listen to and just post it, and then I'm done. And so yeah, it's also something that I think is always happening in art. At least it happens to me for animations, it happens to me for music, and it's very daunting for games, even a very small one like I have. It's kind of insane how you are excited about the idea and you first make it, but then when it all comes together, you're like, oh, what the fuck am I doing? Like, it's so bad, and it's just completely different from what I envisioned. Even though you can have a very precise idea, but it's never anything concrete. So having published a lot of music along the years, I understood that feeling, it's always going to be there. Like, you're going to feel like shit, you're going to feel like an imposter, you're going to feel like, what the fuck am I doing? So when it hits, I just finish things up and I push it away. And that's extremely hard to do for a game. So an advice I would give is just do smaller creative project, or even programming ones. Like, I don't have that much experience in like contributing to, or like making single tools on GitHub, for example, but that would be a good comparison, in my opinion, in that you just have a plan, you execute it, then you realize that, oh, because of the execution and the implementation, it's actually different from what I envisioned. But you just finish it, you publish it, and later, having done that a few times, you go back and you see that, oh, every time I have that impression of what am I doing, but you're doing fine. Like, you progressed because you can look at the things that you actually finished, and you can see that you actually got better as well. So yeah, that's the advice I would get, I guess. So yeah, by the time this video's up, I guess the game will be published on Steam. And well, advienne que pourra. If you somehow want to support me, I don't think I'm gonna make devlogs. I like this format, and that I just do the thing, because I feel like I hear a lot of devlogs, like they spend a lot of time on it, and so it's less development. So I'm gonna spend a few months making my second game, hopefully before the end of this year, and the third one will be very, very simple to make. So again, hopefully this year. And so if you want to support me, I guess you can just buy the regular one on Steam, which is in the description below. And I'll see you when I see you, I guess. Thanks for listening for the whole time. Yeah.